2026 is gonna be the year that I read War and Peace. Or die trying. Hi and welcome to 2026. Happy New Year. I thought let's start the year off by talking about the books that I want to get to the most in 2026. This is my 2026 reading list, my 2026 TBR, whatever you want to call it. These are the 10 books that I want to get to the most in this year. I picked all of them from my physical TBR. I have a lot of books and a lot of them I haven't read yet, so I want to prioritize reading my physical books this year. I picked 10 books from my bookshelves that I want to get to the most this year, and today I want to talk about them. Okay, where do we start? I have all of the books in front of me, so I'm just going to start with fantasy, I guess. A lot of these books are the first books I'm reading from these authors, so hopefully in 2026 I will discover a lot of new favorite authors. With this list, I'm definitely going to be reading a lot of new authors to me, so that's very exciting. Let's start with the first new author for me, which is Leigh Bardugo. I really want to read Six of Crows. I got this special edition for my birthday in 2025, so I really want to read it this year. Just look at this beautiful edition. It looks really beautiful with the black background, the design, the red foiling, and the red sprayed edges. It just looks really good, and I can't wait to read this. I've actually never seen a design like this. It actually doesn't have a dust jacket. It does have a map inside, which is really cool. I believe this book also comes with character art. Yeah, so here in the back we have the artwork for all of the Six of Crows. I'm really excited to get to know these characters. They just look so cool and the artwork is really beautiful. So I cannot wait to read this book. This book is very high on my 2026 TBR. I've heard so many amazing things about this book. I've also watched a couple of episodes from the Shadow and Bone series on Netflix, which features the Six of Crows. So it's all in the same universe. I'm not sure whether I should read Shadow and Bone first or first. I believe you can read them in any order you want, so I'm gonna start with Six of Crows. I know a lot of people have read it already, so I'm a little bit late to this, but I hope 2026 will be the year that I read it. I know that it's about 6 people and they all have a unique talent, so they come together to commit a heist and earn a lot of money. I believe it's set in Ketterdam, which is kind of based upon Rotterdam from the Netherlands. So as a Dutch person, it's gonna be interesting experience, I think. I think it's gonna be a little bit cringe maybe to read all of the fake Dutch written by a non-Dutch person. I mean, that's usually my experience when I read about Dutch people, but hopefully this will be more fun than cringe. I'm really praying. In the Shadow and Bone series, they already used the word stroopwafel, which don't get me started. So I am excited to see if this book is going to be fun or if it's going to be a little bit too young adult for me. We're gonna see. I'm really excited to read it finally and know what all the hype is about. So Six of Crows is the first book that I really want to get in 2026. Then if we're continuing with fantasy, I also really want to read A Game of Thrones. Now you may know that this has been on my December TBR and you can see that there's already a bookmark in it, so I have started reading this, but I haven't finished it yet. As you can see, I'm not that far yet, but I really want to finish this in 2026. Hopefully in January. I actually tried reading this in 2024, but I put it down because I had a lot of other books to read. But now I started it in 2025. I am really liking it so far, so I definitely want to finish this in 2026. This is another fantasy book that I'm just really behind on and I should have read a long time ago, but now it's better than never, so I am going to read this in 2026. Hopefully. As I said, I've started it. I'm really enjoying it. I cannot wait to see how the rest of this story is gonna go. I also have the second book on my shelf, so if I like this enough, I will also read the second one. And I believe there are 7 or 8 books in the series, so there's a lot left for me to read if I enjoy this one. But for now, I'm just gonna put this one on the TBR. I think this is work enough. I don't think I need to explain what this book is about. I think everybody and their mom knows what this book is about, so I'm just gonna leave it at that. A Game of Thrones is the second book of my 2026 TBR. Then for the last fantasy book of this TBR, we have one that may surprise you. It's a Cassandra Clare book. Now, again, I've never read anything by Cassandra Clare, so this will be a new author to me. And this one, I saw it in the store. It was €5, so I really wanted to pick it up, and it just looks so beautiful. It's Swordcatcher by Cassandra Clare. This is the first book in the Chronicles of Castlemaine series, so I can start with this one. I don't know if I should read any Cassandra Clare's book before this, or if I can just dive into this one. This was released in 2023, so I'm not sure how many books are out yet of this series, but I believe I can start with this one. At least this is the first one. This book is about Kel, and he's the bodyguard of the Prince of Castlemaine. So he's the sword catcher for the prince. Now, I've read that it's about an assassination attempt, a war, politics, friendships, and everything you want in a fantasy book. So I'm really excited to read this. Also, the cover is just so stunning. This book is almost 600 pages though, so it's going to be a bit of a challenge to read all these big books on my TBR this year, but I cannot wait to get to this. So this is the third book on my 2026 TBR. Then we move on from fantasy and we go into more amazing books. First we have Near to the Wild Heart by Clarice Lispector. Now again, this will be my first Clarice Lispector book, so I'm really excited to get to know this author and her writing style. Cannot wait to see how I'm gonna like this one. I feel like this is either gonna be a hit or a miss, but I have very high hopes for it. So I have this beautiful red copy with part of her face on it. I believe there are 3 other books that you can combine to complete her face. I think that's very fun detail. It also has a part of her face as well on the back, and I believe the backs line up as well. So I really like that about this edition. She actually wrote this book when she was 23, so that's really impressive. I'm very excited to see what she has to say. I believe from what I've heard that this book does not have a straightforward plot. It's mostly very poetic, about thinking about life and just more vibes in general. So that can either be a hit or a miss, but I've heard so many people rave about this book. So many people say that Clarice Lispector is one of their all-time favorite authors. So I'm really excited to see what I think about it. This is, in contrast to the other books, a little bit smaller, so I feel like this should be doable for 2026. I am just really looking forward to reading this. That's why it's on this list. I just noticed there's so much red on this list, so there's kind of a color scheme going on for 2026, although red is also my favorite color, so that might be why I want to get to all of these books. So Near to the Wild Heart is the next book on my TBR. Now the next book is actually also partly red. It is a vintage edition, so they always have the red spine, and it's Stoner by John Williams. Again, I've heard so many amazing things about this book. This one is a little bit more on the depressing side, but a lot of my favorite books are just very introspective, a little bit depressing, so I have very high hopes for this one. This is definitely a 5-star prediction, so I cannot wait to read it this year. It is a novel to be savored. That's what it says on the back, and that's exactly what I'm gonna do. I'm really gonna take my time with this one. I've heard that it has a lot of deeper meaning, and it's a very heavy and introspective book, so I cannot wait to start this and see what it's all about. A lot of people whose recommendations I really trust have loved this book, and they say it's one of their favorite books of all time. So again, I have really high hopes for this one. I believe this book is about William Stoner and kind of his life, all the things he did do and he didn't do, and kind of his reflections on that. So that can be very interesting. It can also be a little bit depressing, so we're just gonna find out. If you've read this book, then please let me know what you thought about it in the comments, but I'm very excited to read it. So that's book number 5. So every year I want to read at least one Jane Austen book. Last year, 2025, that was Emma. So this year, again, I want to read my next Jane Austen book, but I'm not sure which one yet. So maybe you can help me. Let me know which Jane Austen book you liked or which one I should read next. I have all of her novels in a collection on top of my bookshelf, so I have them all. I also have her short stories right there. So let me know which one I should read. I have a couple of her ones left to read, so there is a lot of choice. I also don't mind rereading her novels because I love them all, but I would prefer to read one that is new to me. So Jane Austen has a spot reserved on my 2026 TBR. I really want to get through all of her novels, and I want to do at least one a year. So decide with me which one I should read in 2026. Then another author that I really want to read from is Oscar Wilde. I have all of his works right here. I've read The Picture of Dorian Gray. I started reading his short stories this year, and I've read a couple of his plays as well. So I really want to make my way through this book, but I'm not sure what I'm going to read yet. His short stories are quite easy to get through, so I might read a couple of those, but there's just so much to choose from that I just couldn't decide right now. So 2025 I read his short story collection A House of Pomegranates, which I absolutely loved. So I cannot wait to read more of his short stories, or maybe read a couple of his plays this year. I haven't read a lot of his plays yet, so maybe I should focus on his plays this year, but there's also a lot of short stories that I really want to get to, so there's a lot left to read. There's also a lot of poems to choose from, so I haven't yet decided which works I want to get to in 2026, but I know that I want to read more of Oscar Wilde's work. I would love to, just like Jane Austen, read all of his works because he's really an all-time favorite author for me, just like Jane Austen is. So they definitely have a spot reserved on my TBR for this year. So again, if you have any recommendations what works I should read from Oscar Wilde, then please let me know in the comments. The next book on my TBR is actually a non-fiction that has made the rounds on Bookstagram, and it's The Year of Magical Thinking by Joan Didion. I've heard so many people read this book and say that it's absolutely beautiful and heartbreaking at the same time, and that sounds like the perfect book for me, so I knew I had to read it. Now, this is a non-fiction about Joan Didion's life after she lost her child and her husband. This is about her dealing with grief and kind of trying to see life in a positive light again. So I cannot wait to see what insights she has. I think books like these can teach you so much without actually having to experience what she went through, and I'm really grateful that she put this into words and that I'm able to read this book right now. So this book is definitely on my 2026 TBR. I think I bought it in 2025, so it hasn't been on my shelves for that long, but I'm really excited to read it. So one detail about this cover is that most of the letters are in black, but some of them are in dark blue, and they spell out John, which is her husband's name. So I think that's a very beautiful detail of this cover. Then on to the last two books. We have two very different books. Let me start with the one that I'm most scared of. This book is, I don't even know how to describe it. This is gonna be a big challenge. Let me just show you. It's War and Peace. Yep, it's War and Peace by Tolstoy. I am terrified of reading this. So in January 2025, I read Anna Karenina, and I told myself if I could read Anna Karenina, I could read War and Peace. 2026 is gonna be the year that I read War and Peace. Or die trying. No, I'm kidding. But I really am gonna attempt reading War and Peace this year. It is a book that's over 1,300 pages. So if I read this, this will be the biggest book that I've read ever. And I'm really intimidated by it. This is an epic masterpiece. This is a real achievement, and I cannot wait to annotate it and really savor it, because let's be honest, I'll probably only read this once in my life. So I really want to savor it when I do. As the title says, this book is about war and peace, and Tolstoy is really good at taking you into the lives of these characters. He writes such complicated, complex, and deep characters that I really loved in Anna Karenina. Anna Karenina was probably my favorite book of 2025. That's a spoiler, but it really was. So I'm hoping that this is going to be one of my favorite books of 2026. Tolstoy is so good at storytelling through characters. His characters are so realistic and deep and flawed, but also so beautiful at the same time. So I'm really expecting from this big book that there will be a lot of amazing characters. It's probably gonna be very difficult to keep track of all the characters, but it has a list of characters in the back. So this is gonna be a real challenge. Hopefully I'll be able to make some sense of it and I'll be able to enjoy this book. So that is the 9th book on my TBR, War and Peace. So you can probably tell from this TBR what my favorite genres are. I really love fantasy, classics, and non-fiction. So to end off this list, I have another non-fiction that I'm really looking forward to get to. It is 101 Essays That Will Change the Way You Think by Brianna Wiest. So this is a book that has also been very popular on BookTok, Bookstagram, and it's basically 101 essays that are all written by the same author, and they're all about psychology and cognitive biases and kind of how you view the world. At first, I didn't expect that all the essays would be written by the same author, but Brianna Wiest has written all of these essays and compiled them into one book, and these are all about changing the way you think. So I do have a degree in psychology, so I'm interested to see how many of these ideas I've already seen in my degree and how many are going to be new to me, but I'm really looking forward to it. Hopefully I can find some new ideas, learn some new things, or at least have a little bit of fun while reading this. So that is the last book on my 2026 TBR. If you've read this one or any of the other books that I mentioned, then please let me know in the comments. Also let me know what books are on your 2026 TBR, because I would love to know. For now, I want to thank you so much for watching. I hope you have a wonderful 2026, and I'll see you in the next video.